Do you have any kind of tips, ideas, how our audience out there could, build this ROI, right?
Yes.
And how could they frame it?
Yes, I learned the hard way after COVID, and you mentioned it perfectly. And please, on top of my examples, jump in, that moving and shifting from return on investment to cost of inaction is the best way nowadays after recession, after budget constraints and everything that we're seeing nowadays. That is basically, if I keep doing what I'm doing, if my status quo remains the same, what is that I'm missing? Why is this shift massive in psychology and also in a sales process? For two main reasons. Sellers, or decision makers, better said, we are more afraid of losing than happy or excited of earning or winning something. Let's put an example, and I want to ask you a question, and let's dive into it.
Yeah.
But if I'm telling you, hey, Kevin, you need to run 3 miles right now, at this moment, and I will give you $100. Or I'm telling you, hey, you know what, Kevin? If you don't run these 3 miles, you have to give me $100 to me. What is more powerful in terms of you taking action?
Yeah, the second one.
The second one, right? So it's the same outcome.
Yeah.
But hey, I'm telling you, go run 3 miles. I will give you $100. It's like, man, a lot of effort.
Yeah.
That happens with companies. If I'm telling
I would run, to be honest.
I would run as well. But the psychology and how it applies, it's completely different. Most likely, every seller, and this is the main challenge, every seller is trying to look for the yes, for the gain. Yeah. It's like, you invest 10 and we will give you another 10 on top of that because the ROI and this and this and that. The problem is that if I'm telling you that, most likely you are okay with the status quo. But if I'm telling you, you know what? If you are doing this in the way you are doing it right now, in 3 months from now, you are not only wasting and spending this X amount of money, going back to the trigger, to the framework, that it's pain, impact, revenue, and measurement. You're not only wasting this amount of money, but on top of that, you're not allowing your team to perform within this potential return, right? So we are pushing the fear of losing more than the return on that potential investment, and that moves the needle 100%.
Yeah, I think FOMO is definitely something which is important. Many sellers out there probably think like, okay, but it's hard, to justify a clear revenue dollar amount as a return on investment behind. If you don't do that, this is the amount of money you lose, right? You cannot always.
It's not easy to put a business case with exact numbers.
Exactly. So, but what I learned as well during the last years is it doesn't have to be always a euro amount, right? Because it can be how much time do your team manually invest in finishing this task manually
on a daily basis, on a weekly basis.
Exactly. And then you can easily make the math together with them, right? Okay, we lose, for example, each team member does 2 hours a week. We have 5 team members, so it's 10 hours a week. It's 40 hours a month. Okay, 40 hours a month. What could they potentially do with this 40 hours a month?
That's the cost of the loss of not doing that.
Exactly. It doesn't have to be a revenue or money behind every ROI calculation because time is as well money, but on the other hand, you can then say, okay, they can focus on the more important things if you could automate or could bring you a solution, our solution, which makes the life of your people easier, and they can focus on the more important
Absolutely,
stuff,
100%, 100%. And before we jump into a question that I have, that I think that will be a game changer for everyone, and one advice, we need to highlight Reply.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
That's important.
Yeah.
So Reply, our main sponsor, thank you for joining us in this crazy adventure, in these Confessions of a Seller, all mini episodes that we are going to deliver to the audience.
Yeah.
Reply is an all-in-one sales engagement tool. From prospecting to closing, will help you as much as it helps us.
Yeah.
So if you want to check it out, test it out, and if you have any doubts, reach out to us. We are experts on the tool, but if not,
in the comments,
you will have all the details in the description of the video. But going back to what we were talking, there is one phrase and one question that I always ask that goes along to this process of measuring what's happening if they don't change the status quo. That it's what happens, Kevin, if in 3 or 6 months from now we have a conversation and you're still in the same place. What would happen?
Yeah.
If the answer is nothing will happen, then most likely they don't have that urgency that you will like to create.
Yeah.
But ultimately, on top of cost of inaction, what could happen if they are in an urgency is that Kevin could be fired.
Yeah.
Because that's under your responsibility.
Yeah.
You are the champion. You are the one taking care of the KPIs. So our solution can help you there. So at some point, that's why psychology and emotions are related here, right?
Definitely. I think the 6 month scenario, you need to prepare the prospect to answer this question in your discovery, right?
I love that. So what would be the way, or what's your path as an AE, an enterprise AE, to go from I need to discover something and make them say that they need me?
Yeah. So it's really
how that workflow flows.
Yeah. So first of all, you ask them about the different pain points they have, and then say, for example,
can you give me exactly specific questions or scenarios?
Yeah. So like a good example, if you want to if you have to put in your top 3 pain points, what you currently have, which one of the top 3 pain points would you like to solve immediately? Has the highest priority, and the other 2 which are in a little bit in a later stage, and why? So
I love that.
And then when you say, okay,
what is that causing in the prospect?
Exactly. They say, okay, they first of all they need to think. That's the most important part. Okay, first one I would say is this.
They won't lie. This is the most important for me.
Second one is this. Third one is maybe that. Okay, let's focus on the number 1. How does this impact you on a daily base? I don't know. I'm not a big fan asking like, okay, what keeps you awake at night?
Yeah,
it's like
it's a clickbite. It's something that is overused.
Yeah, it's such a. But you know, if you dig deeper than in the first one,
my 2-year my 2-year-old young baby keeps me awake at night.
I have a newborn.
Not my prospects or my KPIs. You know.
Exactly.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, so this is the first one, and then dig deeper and say, okay, who is impacted by it? Is it just you, or is it the wider team? Because if it's the wider team, try to involve them, of course, from the beginning, because if there are more people involved, impacted, you have a higher chance.
So mapping stakeholders as well.
100%. So
okay, we will get there.
It's a marketing team involved as well. Then let's say the account managers are part of this issue as well. So if you have multiple stakeholders already in the first discussion, automatically helps you to build a case.
Okay.
Right? And if you then dig deeper again in the different pain points and say, okay, could you put a dollar amount behind the losses or the pain which you currently have? Yeah, we lose, for example, we have a customer churn every churn rate of this percentage, and it impacts the whole business. Okay, that means a revenue amount of A. Okay, how can we? Okay, let's focus on that.
Okay,
and then after,
so it's all about numbers. What I'm understanding,
exactly, it's
putting their words towards a number that then you can use against a business case.
Exactly. And then how many clients would you lose in a period of 6 months if you keep
doing what you're doing?
Churn rate, what you have at the moment. And then you make the math together with them, right? And then automatically you ask this question because you have already a solution in your mind, how that could solve the
Let's
issue.
make a point there. Don't forget what you're saying. I love that point. So you already have the solution, but you are biting your tongue. Yeah. Because as a sellers, we want to pitch, and this is what we can do. And if they ask if you have an integration, yes, we integrate with everything, and everything is a yes. But you're saying something smarter, right? Like it's like, wait until the right moment to begin in order to pitch your solution.
This is the difficult part, because
that's the most difficult part. So you're asking questions for them to give you the information that you can use attached to the solution.
And imagine you 100% right. And imagine you can do the same with multiple stakeholders
at the same time. So walk me through that complex and that complexity, because what happened most likely, and I think that this is a really interesting topic, and that's why I want your enterprise analysis. It's not usual that every champion or user or even decision maker gives you all the information, even in the first, or maybe they don't know.
Yeah.
When you're saying, hey, how much money are you wasting here, or how this is impacting this process? Most likely they would say, well, I don't know, or maybe it's not impacting and they have no idea.
Yeah.
So how do you handle those? How do you navigate those conversations?
So I think there is an important part which comes in place is multi-threading, right? So if you find out
what is multi-threading for the people in the audience?
So multi-threading is having different people contacted or different people conversation in the same organization who might be impacted by this
the implementation or solution or the pain.
The pain they currently face.
Okay.
So it's usually it's rather just one department is impacted by one thing, right? It's usually a wider group of people. So if you find out who might be impacted in that, and this starts already in the discovery, maybe even the SDR could ask, okay, who might be impacted or who might be interested in hearing more about that solution. And if they say marketing, marketing, maybe legal, maybe e-commerce, whatever, right?
Yeah.
So if you have the chance then to speak to those multiple stakeholders and identify each pain, you can build like a whole case around it.
Okay.
And it's much
involving everyone.
Exactly. And it's much easier to, if you have a case for multiple people, to then as well convince the whole business at all to implement a potential solution.
Correct.
Because it impacts multiple stakeholders and the damage is much wider than they actually imagined.
Correct.